I would say most women, generally speaking, tend to care less about a man's body count than.
But we're talking about a woman who does care, even though she has a high body count herself.
If a woman has previously slept with 100 men and she wants to date a virgin, that's 100% her prerogative. I don't have an issue with it, and I don't think it makes her a hypocrite. Okay. Now, do I think most women who have slept with 100 men, would they prefer to date a man who's a virgin? I don't think so.
I personally would not want to be lectured about my body count by somebody who themselves has a high body count. If they were telling me, Erin, how dare you have slept with like this many number of people, and I'm like, you have a body count of 50. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, I would not want to hear it.
Yeah, your argument is basically.
Well, I haven't fully made my argument yet, but go ahead.
My understanding is like, oh no, your argument is like, oh no, that's just what they're attracted to. But at least from what I've noticed, whenever guys talk about body count in general, there is a moralistic reason attached.
Sure.
So it's not just a simple, oh, I'm just attracted to this, that's how it be. It's no, I think that type of behavior is bad, but when I do it, that type of behavior is suddenly okay, which I don't think is consistent morally.
Well, I mean, okay, so to further expand on my point of, in order to desire a trait in a partner, need you also possess said trait? I think we can all agree the answer to that is no. You need not possess a trait in order to desire. For example, and I know you went to the tall thing, and that's something that I've said before. However, there's much better examples. For example, a woman who wants. I often hear women say they like men who can make them laugh, who are funny. Need a woman be funny herself to desire that in a partner? And does it make her hypocritical if she's not funny to find funny men attractive? I don't think so. I don't think she's hypocritical if she wants a guy who's funny, but she is not funny herself.
I feel like that's one of those things that I guess you could argue it's within your control to be funny or not, but humor is one of those things that kind of like comes to you or it doesn't. I don't think you can really teach humor. So it's another one of those things that it may as well be an innate characteristic.
How about this? And I can give a ton of other examples here. A woman who who's attracted to high status men, but she's not high status herself. I'm sure you could agree that a lot of women would absolutely love to be in a relationship with a professional athlete, a musician, an actor. A lot of women have celebrity crushes, for example. I'm sure they would, do quite a bit to actually secure these men as partners. Whether they can or not, that's a different question. Are they hypocritical for desiring to date an exceptionally attractive or high status man, despite their lack of status? Does it make them hypocrites?
The problem is none of these are moralistic reasons. So if a person was like, hey, I want to date
but I'm not arguing at it on that level. I'm simply arguing, in order to desire a trait in a person, need you possess that trait? And I think the answer is no.
No, but the problem is that most people or most men who want a low body count are not saying it simply on the basis of, I just happen to be attracted. They always assign it with a moralistic reason. That girl's a hoe, promiscuous, and that's bad for society.
But I'm not, that's that's totally irrelevant. To me, that's totally irrelevant.
But it's not totally irrelevant.
No, because if we're looking at the traits that people,
then why does it matter?
What do you mean?
Then why does body count matter?
What?
Because you're saying like
there's
I don't think
it's
moralistic, but why does it matter?
Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why it might matter.
What's one?
Pair bonding.
Okay, well, I mean, there's studies that have come out that, for example, the more premarital sexual
I don't think anyone is basing that preference off a study. Okay. Brian, don't be delusional.
Hold on. There's studies that show that there's a greater likelihood of infidelity. There's a greater likelihood of reporting relationship dissatisfaction. There's a greater likelihood of a breakup of a relationship or of a marriage the more premarital sexual partners you've had. There's also an evolutionary psychology biological reason when it comes to paternity uncertainty. A woman who's more, and this is almost something that's innate in men, a woman who's promiscuous, if she's sleeps with a lot of men, there's a chance, for example, that she might, the kid might not be yours, for example.
Cuckoldry. True cuckoldry is when you might accidentally raise another man's child.
Right. And so any woman who gives birth to someone, you know for a fact that that's your that is your biological child, but as a man, you can't 100% be certain.
It's 2024, Brian. You can take
that
paternity
doesn't
tests.
undo. Yes, you can do DNA tests, which came out in the 80s. That doesn't undo hundreds of thousands of years of evolution that have made men more invested in ensuring paternity.
Yeah,
But
I think that
also,
There's an evopsych reason for that.
yeah, and you could argue that there's
Which is why
evopsych-
men care more about body count. They care more about promiscuity, and they care much more about virginity, for example.
There are strong evopsych reasons for women to also want men with low body count, so there'd be less STDs,
For
less chances.
parental, what's it called? For parental
Resources, maybe.
For parental investment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
yes, I agree, but I'm not in favor. Like of there's certain guys in the space that advocate that you should just try to run through a bunch of girls. I don't advocate for that.
Yeah, but the problem is
You should
if somebody
space it out.
has this
What's that?
You should space it out.
No.
the problem is if you have the
Bracket them slowly.
mentality of like, oh, I value these things for like all these different reasons, that's why I want to find a woman with low body count. Chances are she's also going to have those same values, right? For her own reasons, for wanting to have like parental security, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have that high body count and you're still looking for a woman with like low body count, chances are she's not going to be attracted to you. So
But
you're
why is it
cornering
only
yourself
wrong?
in.
Why is it seems it's like the case that it's only wrong if a man wants a trait that he doesn't possess, but when women want a guy who's funny but she's not funny,
It's
hold
within
on, let me
his
just finish.
purview.
Hold on, let me just finish.
more-
He doesn't have to stick
No,
his dick
but
in
there-
everything that he wants
Hold on. But a woman wants a woman wants a guy who's funny, she's not funny. A woman wants a guy who's rich, but she's broke. A woman wants a guy who's a professional athlete, she's not a professional athlete. A woman wants a guy who's high status, she has no status. A woman wants a guy who's confident, she's not confident. A woman wants a guy who's charismatic, she's not charismatic.
It's
A woman wants a guy who's chivalrous, she's not chivalrous.
Some of
I mean,
some
we
are
can-
describing yin and yang. Others, you're describing examples of, to me, pure hypocrisy.
Wait, no, but for me,
Yeah.
it's
No,
the moralistic purview that's
you're
attached.
trying to like snake your way out of like
You
No,
can
no,
these
no,
are
no.
possibly
clear.
fathom that someone might disagree with you on this one. Actually, talk to the majority of women. Yeah, the majority of women are not going to put up being lectured by a guy with a high body count about their body count any day
No,
of the
but
week.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If a woman doesn't want to be with a guy with a high body count, I don't object to that at all. I'm not arguing that like women shouldn't care about that. If you care about that, that's 100% your prerogative. But my issue is when you say and you shame men, oh, if you're a guy and you've had a high body count, and again, I'm not an advocate of men racking up high body counts, but if a guy does have more sexual experience, that should preclude him from having an interest in women with low body count. I object to that.
No, it's a
because
moralistic purview that's
because
attached
women
to it.
all the time desire traits in men that they do not possess themselves.
It's a moralistic
So
purview
different.
attached to it. If a woman was like, "Hey,
So what?
let me finish my argument."
But so
no,
what?
It doesn't
no,
matter.
Pixie.
It matters.
Pixie. So what if there is a moralistic
I'll explain
component
why
to it?
so what.
It's totally irrelevant.
It's not.
It's totally irrelevant.
explain
I just
why.
outright dismiss your position.
Because you're not letting
No.
me finish the argument.
Hitchens razor.
Okay.
Actually, no. That's not
if
Hitchens
a woman,
razor. That's not
if
Hitchens
a
razor.
woman
That's not
was saying, "Hey, I want a guy who is like, calm, and I think because like that's what a good person is. A good person is a calm person,
Yeah.
And then she's out there, throwing temper tantrums, freaking out. Well, then that would make her a giant hypocrite because she is not upholding herself to the moral standard that she wants her partner to have. So yes, it does matter when somebody is trying to uphold a moral standard that they cannot themselves concede to.
What about a woman who's feminine and wants a masculine man?
Is that a moral standard? No.
Is being calm a moral standard?
Well, if the woman is arguing, I want somebody calm,
Or is that
because
a
that's
behavioral-
if the person is attaching moral purview to being calm, then yeah, they should
Wait,
be
so
calm
is it-
themselves. If they're saying it is of upright moral importance that my partner is a calm person, because a calm person is a good person.
I do think it's. How do I? I don't think it necessarily makes her a hypocrite.
Really,
I think it would be more conducive, perhaps, to a better relationship if they're
Yeah.
both calm individuals. I don't think in any scenario being like a chaotic, bitchy person or being a guy who's a like toxic asshole, I don't think that's conducive to a healthy relationship.
Yeah, the point
But-
I'm trying to get across is that if a person is saying, I want my partner to have X quality because X quality makes them a good person, and then they don't have that quality in themselves, they're being hypocritical morally.
Yeah. Most of the things that you're describing tend to be proxies for other things. So you're like a woman who herself is not a professional athlete wants to be with a man who's a professional athlete.
That makes her a hypocrite, according
Well,
to
no,
your.
because
if
there's no
we-
moral
I'm
if we
trying to explain to you,
use-
Brian, why
if
it
we use
doesn't.
your logic, yes,
No.
it would make
No,
her a
I
hypocrite.
literally started this off by saying I believe it's a proxy for something else. So what she doesn't really want is that if a professional athlete didn't make much money in the society, guess what? She wouldn't want that she wouldn't be invested in dating somebody who has that profession. So it's almost like they have no attachment to the profession, and what they really want is wealth. So she would probably date anybody who is wealthy. And at that point, if she's not wealthy herself or is not even trying to become wealthy, I'd say, yeah, you're a hypocrite. Also, it's a long shot if you think you're going to marry outside of your economic class. It's
I mean, there's
statistically
plenty
very,
of other
very
reasons
unlikely.
why a woman might want to date a professional athlete, for
Yeah,
example.
the love of football. Yeah.
No,
Basketball, that's what it is.
Well, I would actually argue typically professional athletes are demonstrating some sort of physicality. They probably have, not all of them, some,
So do models.
NFL linemen,
So do
might not.
models.
Well, I was going to say physique, for example. What do you mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're like, well, they demonstrate some sort of physicality, and I'm saying like, so do models and bodybuilders. And at that point, what you're not even talking about is a professional athlete. You just want somebody who's like physically attractive. Yeah,
right.
of course.
But I don't think it makes
My
you a
argument boils
hypocrite.
down to this: don't throw stones in glass houses.
what's a
And I
hypocrite
think
then?
somebody who obviously puts a lot of stake in a body count and judges other women for having high body counts, but they themselves have a high body count, is throwing a stone in a glass house.
No, it doesn't. It does not make you hypocritical.
that's-
Agree to disagree.
It does not
Agree to
make you
disagree.
hypocritical.
If that's not
to
hypocritical, then
desire,
what's hypocritical to you?
Huh?
I said if that's not hypocritical,
I can't
then
get-
what
I don't-
is?
What's the
I can't-
definition of
Of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you define hypocrisy?
It's defined by Jesus Christ, who literally
No, no,
said
no,
that
no.
a hypocrite is
Okay,
somebody
okay.
who examines the crime of another man but refuses to look at their
No,
own.
we're talking about something different here. If you were to come out and say that, if you were to say it's bad to be promiscuous, but you yourself are promiscuous, that's hypocritical. However, just having accrued a high body count, let's say you've accrued a high body count, it doesn't make you hypocritical to desire and to want to date somebody who has a low body count. That doesn't make you hypocritical. If your standard is that you're like, for example, perhaps you're shaming women who have a high body count, yet you have a high body count, that might be
That's what
hypocritical.
we were
But
talking about,
wanting
was
a
it not?
partner, like making a dating related decision about who you want to partner up with, does not make you hypocritical.
Yeah.
Okay, if you said but we were talking
So perhaps we've been
about-
arguing
it's just
the different
preference.
thing here.
Yeah, I think the problem is that in most cases of men describing low body count, when you ask them why, it's usually not just saying,
It's
"Oh,
to
I'm
degrade
just."
the woman.
Yeah,
It's not neutral.
most of the time it's because she's a hoe and that's disgusting. It's not just like, "Oh, that's what I happen to be attracted to." So I think that's why we're speaking past each other.
Good times.
Because a preference is saying like I prefer blondes, but I would date anybody, versus what you're saying, which is I won't date blondes. I have to date this other dyed-haired person, like black. I only date people with black hair. There's a difference. between those two
So do you
things.
think, let's say a guy who's got a body count of 10, would you think it's hypocritical of him to want to date a woman who's a virgin who has a body count of 1, 2, or 3?
Yep.
A guy who has a body, you think so?
No.
If he again, it goes back to
I
what's
think
So,
if
so
you're getting
hold on,
into-
no, hold on. Wait. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Pixie. Okay. So what is the,
It's a relative concept. What constitutes an objectively high body count doesn't exist because it's always just going to be relative to whatever the median body count
plus
is
or
at
minus,
any time. And I
plus
think
or
double
minus,
digits are
what is
what?
the body count range that you think
I
someone has
don't know,
to date
Brian. You're the
within?
one who does this
No, but-
fucking bullshit math. I don't
No,
do it
no.
because I don't care about body count, so I don't
But
have to
it's
worry
like,
about it.
no, but you're saying that a guy who has a body count of 10, it would be hypocritical of him to want a woman to date a woman with a body count of 3.
You said
So-
virgin. You started off with virgin.
No, but
and
yes,
then you
I
said,
said
then
virgin,
1, 2,
3.
Okay.
Okay.
When it was
so
virgin,
is it
it was-
hypocritical?
I said hypocrite
Do you
to the
think it's
virgin.
hypocritical for a guy who has a body count of 10 to prefer to date a woman who has a body count of 3?
Yes, because why? It can. I think it can be because
why would that be hypocritical?
What significance is he attaching to the body count that he is actively seeking out women who have a body count of 3 or less?
We've already gone over this.
What is the significance?
I already told you why body count
It's
matters.
obviously
Do you
a
want me to
moral
repeat it?
significance. No, it's obviously a moral significance.
It could be a totally self-serving. Let's say his only thing
totally
is
self-serving and hypocritical. That's my argument.
what?
Totally self-serving and hypocritical.
I don't really
reasons.
follow the logic there, but so you're suggesting that
I'm not suggesting, telling you.
what people ought to do, you can only pair up with somebody who has the exact same body count as you. Is that what you're? I think if you take it to the logical conclusion,
Not the same.
You have to pair up with somebody who has the exact same.
Not the same. Not the exact same.
Really?
The same range. And that all of these ranges are going to be completely fucking arbitrary. Because can you tell me what an objectively high body count is?
I think once you start, well, it
Oh,
it
well, it
depends on
depends
age.
because
It
it's
depends on
subjective.
age.
It's not an
No,
objective
it depends on
question.
age.
Okay.
It depends on age because
The older
clear,
you
like
are, the more-
a woman who's like 18 is gonna
Okay, so an
probably have a
18-year-old
lower
guy with a
count.
body count of 10 who wants an 18-year-old girl with a body count of 3, what's his reason?
I don't object to that at all.
Okay, what's
what's
his
the
reason?
What's his reason?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of reasons.
Okay,
There's
name one of them.
There's pair bonding. There's just the
At
ingrained.
at 18, he's fucked 10 people, and he's expecting a woman who's the
Yes.
same age as him to have not slept
Yes,
with
absolutely. An 18-year-old could be pursuing be desirous of a long-term relationship.
Okay.
There's the STD risk, for example. The more sexual partners you've had, the greater likelihood of having an STD.
That goes for him too.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, times
Sure.
however many more because he has a higher body count.
Right, but let's assume he doesn't have an STD and he wants to mitigate his risk by selecting a partner.
Then
who,
why can't we
who has-
assume that a woman with a high body count doesn't have STIs?
Wait, what?
Because you're making it sound like you said it sounds like all of these only apply to women because you were like, we know that a woman with a higher body count has a higher likelihood of having an STI. But when you're talking
Yes,
about
that
a man
applies-
with
that
a, when
would
you're
apply
talking
to
about
men
when you're
too.
talking
Yes,
about
that
when
would
you're
apply to
talking
men
about a
too.
man with a high body
And
count,
if a woman, yes,
you're
and if
saying
a woman,
this guy also doesn't have that.
If a woman doesn't want to date a guy because she's who has a high body count because she wants to mitigate her STD risk, that's totally fine.
Would you say she's delusional?
What?
But would you say she's delusional
For what?
For wanting that.
for wanting that?
No,
Like,
I've already stated.
If Tina said, "I want a guy who has a low body count," would you think that she was not hypocritical but delusional?
Would I think she's delusional? Well, again, there are some gender differences here. So, for example,
I'm saying they're
no.
arbitrary
But for
bullshit.
example, a guy, if you have a high body count, I do think it is again the case that women give men a little bit more leeway on that front than the reverse.
Yeah, but it's totally socially constructed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also about your
If she
But
argument.
do you
can-
think that
if
she's
she-
delusional? You didn't answer the question. Answer the question.
Is she
Would she be
delusional?
delusional for her saying,
No, actually,
yeah,
I'm sure she could actually. No, because I actually think it's interesting. I think a man who actually might have a low body count, it could indicate that, for example, he struggles in the dating realm. So it may very well be the case that he's more willing.
we're at the point where we're pontificating upon what the low body count in a man signifies and what it could be a proxy
He might-
for or whatever. But when it comes to women, it's like, oh yeah, for sure, high body count definitely risk with promiscuity and higher STI risk. Like, you know for sure, like what it could be associated with.
I don't object to women holding the exact same standards.
Neither do I.
What are we on?
About your
You
argument,
started
though,
this.
Can I just say something?
Yeah. Okay. We should wrap soon. By the way.
About
Go
your
ahead.
argument about like a high body count, more likely to have STIs, more likely to get pregnant by somebody else. Like I don't think that counts because it only takes one
Nick,
person.
puts-
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could literally
Get
be a
STI or
virgin
get
and get
pregnant.
an
And if anything-
STI.
Showed
You
it.
could.
As far as I know, porn stars actually have lower instances of STIs because they have to
Yeah.
get checked
Yeah.
We
so
get checked
regularly.
every fucking
Nope.
month.
Fake
Yeah.
news.
Every 2 weeks.
What?
That's fake
Yeah,
news.
yeah.
They
No,
get
it's
checked
not.
more often than the average person ever
here's
does.
here's the secret
probably gonna
sauce.
say about herpes or
Here's the
something now.
secret
Watch.
sauce. They don't check for HPV and herpes, and on a long enough timeline.
Everybody has that.
Everybody has
No.
herpes.
Everybody has HPV. If you talk to any physician,
actually do
they will
have
tell you they do
HPV.
not
I
even
got
bother
that.
vaccinating
It's
people
human
for
papilloma.
HPV
Do you-
over
you
the age
think
of 25
most
because
people-
they assume that you have it.
What is that?
This is like the
HPV,
biggest
human
fucking
Oh, herpes.
cope
Oh,
about.
I don't have HPV now.
In the adult entertainment industry, they don't test for herpes and HPV.
Nope, because they're very common.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think it is separate. Yeah,
in
human
the
herpes
adult
intense.
entertainment
No,
industry.
it's common in the general population.
It
That's why I
is.
just told you if you
Herpes
talk to a
is
general
so
physician,
common.
I think
if you
genital
talk, if you
herpes
speak, I was
is-
a biology
no.
major, Brian.
Not
If you speak to
genital,
a
but
general
herpes.
physician about getting vaccinated about for HPV over the age of 25, they won't do it because they assume you already have it over the age of
but I'm
25.
talking
That's how
about-
common
sure.
it is.
Yep. Herpes, I think, is, well, I mean,
It is
we don't have to have a
very
debate
common.
over.
Most common.
I would argue herpes is
There's
probably
herpes
worse.
simplex and there's genital herpes,
Yes,
but you're
that's
talking about
right.
just herpes simplex.
Yeah, HPV is
That's
No, no,
very,
no, no,
very
no, no, no.
common.
I'm talking about genital herpes.
They don't test for that? Do they test for genital herpes
No,
if
they
you're an
don't.
adult star?
No, they don't.
Nope.
And if
There
they
you go.
did, the adult
Yeah, but
entertainment
correct-
industry would absolutely crumble
And that's
if
true.
it precluded people who had genital herpes.
But-
Is there a reason why they don't test for it?
We
Is
had
it
a
visually
girl. We
obvious?
had a girl on the show who said that she was, and it's crazy to me that they don't do this. That she got herpes. They don't test for it. She doesn't. If I recall, she does not disclose to her partners that she has herpes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, you can only get herpes from someone if they're having a flare up.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And I've actually worked with that girl multiple times. I've worked with male
Oh,
porn
didn't you
stars.
come with her on the
Huh,
show?
yeah. I've worked with male porn
Oh.
stars who like have herpes but
Yeah, me
don't
too.
have an outbreak, and you can kiss them as long as you don't touch a herpes
Yeah.
sore.
When
So
you
if
said,
they're
"Didn't you come with
diagnosed
her?" I thought you meant a
herpes-
different
No.
way.
Me too.
So
I mean-
if they're
Okay.
diagnosed with herpes but they don't have an outbreak, it's kind of like a wart. You know, if someone has
Yeah.
a wart on their finger and you touch it, you're going to get
You can be
a wart.
pre-symptomatic, or I don't know what the term is, but
Asymptomatic.
no, but like it could be like the tail end, or like I don't know what the tail end or the front end of an outbreak, and it might not be perfectly
No, that's very true.
on
And
a
that
long
is-
enough
yeah.
timeline in the porn industry. My understanding is most women, or most people in the industry, are going to get herpes.
I joined the porn industry knowing that. That was something that like I had made a major, took a major thought about, and it's up to me and it's up to my scene partner to make sure that I am healthy and that I am making sure that my scene partner is healthy before I, touch them and have sex with them.
I mean, I don't know if this is too prying, but do you have herpes?
No, I do not,
Tina?
actually.
I don't know. I don't know actually. Yeah, to be fair.
Okay,
should
I mean,
probably
are
get
you just
tested for
arguing in favor of STDs? I'm a little confused here.
No.
Okay.
You were trying to make the case that you said if they tested for herpes, that porn stars would have the highest rates of STIs that previously
Well, you're
unknown.
trying-
But
you're trying to
arguing,
argue-
you're trying to use the absence of evidence to prove your point, and I'm using actual
No,
evidence.
you were trying to argue that, well, the STD rate amongst porn stars is actually very low, but that's actually not true.
is more likely to be lower because they are tested
No,
more
that's
often than
not
the
true.
general
That herpes-
population.
No, that's
Excluding herpes, it is true.
Excluding herpes.
okay. Well,
how often
herpes
do you
seems a
get
lot
tested?
worse than like gonorrhea. Sorry.
When's the last time you
That's
got tested,
treatable.
Brian?
I know.
Yeah, Brian.
That's
when's the last time you got
treatable.
tested?
When's the
Hello?
last time you got tested, Brian?
You think
I
herpes is worse
I
than
get tested
gonorrhea?
after all the shows.
Okay,
After
never-
all my shows, I get tested.
my God.
Okay.
You know, it's.
All right.
Just in case it's
Speaking
in the
of,
air.
are we,
One time I sat on a chair and I had a little. No, just
All
kidding.
right.
Is that on?
Okay.
Good talk. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. We have one chat here geez, we went long. Okay. Julian, Erin doesn't like hearing the truth, so she cuts off and talks over Brian to make his point invalid. Brian, I already told you the reasons. Why is it okay for women to have preferences but not men?
Oh my God! This is literally the Mott and Bailey. Why is it okay for women to have preferences but not men? I've never said that it's not okay for men to have preferences.
You
or for
literally
women
did.
To have preferences.
You said
I
yes.
am-
You literally
no,
did.
I didn't. I said
You
it makes you a
literally did.
hypocrite if you have standards that could apply to you, but you choose not to, and then expect them of other people. That's been my argument the entire time. Brian, we're not getting into this, please, on the show. It's like 7 hours in,
Okay.
My
please.
head is pounding.
Can you at least affirm my identity that I am right on this position, please?
No, absolutely not.
would like
I'm going to come on to the next show, but you keep fighting
I would
if
like
you
you
want.
to affirm my identity as the rightful person on this issue.